comics are stupid.
No Harry Potter movie is good.
And you're like, give me the Snyder Cut. Oh, sorry, just walk in front of you here. Gonna put my popcorn down. Oh, sorry, gotta put this here.
Universal needs to sue Sony.
Hey, I'm an idiot. I was fired from Fox. Let me go.
I'd like actually to see Venom just crush Spider-Man.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the next episode. I have no clue what episode number this is at this point. I think it's 14 when this comes out. I'm joined by an amazing actress, Sarah Fisher. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
So the first question I got to ask you is, how did you get into acting?
Well, in high school, I've always been in music. I've been a singer-songwriter for a very, very long time. But if you got me on stage doing any kind of, whether it be a Shakespeare monologue or any kind of acting on stage in high school, I was like, no, I'm good. But when I graduated, I took a gap year, and I had a girlfriend of mine actually ask me if I wanted to join a class with her at Armstrong Acting Studios in Toronto. And I joined a class with her. It was really fun. I loved it. I was very new, but I loved it. And the head of the school, Dean Armstrong, actually was very, very supportive and wanted to play a part in helping me get representation. To which my first reply was, I'm not good. I was like, no, I need a bit more time. I think I need to figure out what this is and get better. So I started to work more at the studio, and before I knew it, there were meetings lined up for agents. So I went to meet with some agents. Couldn't appreciate Dean's support more. He was very supportive and helpful in the process. And I ended up my second meeting with an agency was on a Friday. And I think I had a couple more the following week. And so I had this meeting on a Friday. It was my second meeting, and I really liked her. I thought she was lovely. I was like, cool, feeling it. Right, it feels really good to me, but we're gonna wait because we might have another meeting or two. So we're just gonna wait till after the weekend, think about it a little more, and then get back to her. I left the building, went to walked outside, walked down the street, went to the car. And my mom, she has these amazing gut feelings, and they're always right. And we get to the car, and she goes, I think we need to go right back up there and sign today. And I was like, okay, well, now it's a bit weird that we've left and said we're going to wait, but now we're going to walk right back up and be like, hey, just kidding. But my mom's always right. So I was like, okay, if you've got a feeling, let's go with it. So we walked back up, went upstairs, walked in the door and just said, we're going to sign with you today. And she was like, amazing. And she said, I actually already have an audition for you on Monday. And it was for Degrassi, which I ended up booking and was on for 3 years playing Becky Baker, which was will always be one of the most special times of my life. So I kind of fell into the industry, and then I fell completely head over heels, obsessively in love with it.
See, and that's like the best part is when is just like and also the Degrassi thing is just, we'll have to talk about that later, because like every Canadian who ends up in the film industry just goes through Degrassi at some point in time. It's actually hilarious how many people just go through that.
The Canadian family, it's where you start. You couldn't ask for I couldn't have asked for a more incredible way to start in the industry, to just be introduced to all of it. A lot of the cast and crew are still absolute family to me. It'll always be home for me in a really big way. Degrassi's got my heart for sure.
So you go on from that, and then you get a feature film. You get Roxy.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think the next big film that I did. Well, let's be honest here. The first movie that I did was a scary movie, and I just got killed. I was killed in the first 5 minutes, and it was amazing. It was the most fun scene I ever did. And I have stories from that set, but one of which being, I was really scared to not be professional because I hadn't done a movie before, so I was kind of nervous. And when they're setting up cameras, you wait for maybe 30, 40 minutes. You wait till you're ready to go. And I wanted to wait in the spot where I was going to be running into the scene for like 20, 30 minutes, even though I didn't need to, I just wanted to. But this spot I had to stand in was like really tall grasses. And I got bit by something. I was like, ow. I was like, that was not cool. Whatever that was not cool. It happened again. I was like, oh my God. I think it happened a third time. And I'm like, no, I run. I was standing in a type of hornet's nest or something. And I had gotten bit, like, and they were chasing me. And you've got someone on set whose job is to have to help you in any kind of situation. If you're hurt in any way, they have to help you. And so he was running after me. We were both screaming, and I was just like, no, they'll get you too. And he's like, I have to. And he's running. We both got stung like a billion times. Anyway, so that was actually my first movie. But the main feature that I did where I played a more significant role would have been Full Out, which was on Netflix. It was on Family Channel, I think, as well. But you're right, Roxy, I think, was not too far after that. Yeah, Roxy was an incredible experience. It was a really, really fun role to play. My parents also knew the movie Roxanne with Steve Martin, which is what it's based off of. It's today's version of Roxanne, and I play Roxy instead of Roxanne, and it was a really great experience. It was so fun.
So see, it's funny because Roxy, that's the movie I initially knew you from, and that's where I was kind of like, when I was kind of, that's the movie I saw you in, where I initially saw you in. Yeah, and so awesome. When I was kind of coming up with a list of people I wanted to interview, that was the movie that I kind of, where I'd known you from, and I was like, I want to interview her. And so.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Oh yeah, that was a really fun. It's just really like, it just makes you feel good. It fills you with happiness. It's very bright and colorful. I thought I had a blast doing that movie. It was such a good time. The actors, the crew, everyone was just really lovely. It was a great experience. Really fun.
And do you watch your movies after you do them?
Yes, I do. And it's interesting because how you remember it can be so different than how, because when they edit it together, you've given them all these different pieces. You really have no idea what it's going to look like in the end, right? So when you watch it, all of a sudden you're like, I don't remember doing that, or I don't remember this looking this way at all. Because they're taking all these pieces and they glue it together to create what we watch. But the truth is, no conversation on camera ever happened that way. Because when they're doing coverage and the camera is on you and the camera's on your scene partner, the conversation is never, that's never how it was had. Simply because unless you have two cameras at the same time, which often you're just working with one camera going back and forth. So unless it's at the same time, the conversation never once looked that way, the way it's going to look when you see that final product. So, but I'm very big on, we can always, like all of us, no matter what you're doing, I just think we can always all get better at everything we do. And I think it's a really exciting way to work because you just continue to strive to just be better. And my point being that I think as an actor, it's very key to watch your work back to see how the work is translating. So I'm pretty big on watching your work. I think it's really important to do. And it's very fun. It's really fun to see what music they put in, to see after the color correction, like see how bright, like Roxy was so bright, like just to see the final, film or show or whatever it is you worked on. And it's really exciting, to see it all come together. Plus, you've got the friends and the parents who are all lovely, and family who wanna watch it too, which is always really fun. So, in fact, I think my parents watched with their friends Roxy like a couple weeks ago, and it's special. It's really nice. So, yeah, and thank you for watching too.
Well, I mean, thank you for making the movie, because without you, I wouldn't know. So kind of going back to when you were growing up and kind of getting into film, was there a movie that kind of spoke to you? Because I feel like everyone has a movie that kind of spoke to them and was like their childhood favorite movie. Did you have one of those?
The Little Mermaid.
That is a great answer. The
Little Mermaid was everything to me. Is still everything to me. Oh yeah, The Little Mermaid was. If I'm a huge, was and am a huge Disney gal. I just think the music. Also, having always been a singer, I used to sing on my karaoke machine all the Disney tracks and like. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Disney. So I had every Disney movie lined up. I'd sit, wait for them to rewind, and I'd go through all of them. Yeah, I loved all of them. So that's how I started. But that was more in the music side of things. I just loved singing the songs, and I loved the movies so much. And I still love those movies very much. So when I was very little, I'd say that was, yeah, big Disney fan over here.
I can again completely relate with that. So were you also like a Disney Channel movie person, like High School Musical and all that stuff? Okay, good.
Oh, for
okay,
sure.
Good.
My Saturday lineup, it was like That's a Raven, Even Stevens, Lizzie McGuire. Like I had like I don't remember exactly which ones were which day or what it was, but I had like a lineup, and it was like Saturdays were the best day.
That's amazing. That's like perfect. That's perfect.
Right? I was like, to this day, I'm like, I just hang out on Saturdays and do nothing but just watch like Family Channel movies and Disney movies.
It's so much fun to do too. It's like,
Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
So now, what's your favorite movie now that you've kind of, since then?
Oh man. Well, okay. So in animation, just because my brain is there right now, animation, one of my favorite animation movies is Inside Out. I think it is one of the smartest movies in animation that I've seen. I think it's brilliant for young people. It's got a lot of adult humor as well. I just think it's so well done. There's a lot of classics I love that are seem maybe like interesting answers because they're pretty very like your typical answer, but like I love movies like that just fill your heart with so much, like Titanic or The Notebook, Remember the Titans. Like there's a lot of movies that just fill me up. It's funny because anytime anyone's like, what's your favorite movie or what's your favorite song, I'm like, I love so many different worlds of film and television. I love comedy. I love comedy very much. I thought Booksmart was brilliant. I thought Olivia Wilde did an amazing job directing because the humor was so tight and it made me laugh so hard. So I love comedy too. It's so hard to answer.
I say this, but like at the same time, I could never. If anyone asked me what my favorite movie is, I could never give them an answer.
Yeah,
So
it's so hard. It's so hard. I feel like I forget all the movies I love. Like after I'm like, oh, this.
Yeah.
But I have so many different worlds that I love of film and television that I cannot like bring it down to one thing. But those are some that I love. But there's so many more.
So what movies have you watched recently? Maybe that's a little bit of an easier question.
Ooh, what have I watched recently? I watched Emperor's New Groove recently.
Ooh.
Yeah, such a throwback, but I love that movie. When I was young, what else did I? Well, I just went to see Elvis the other day, and it was brilliant.
Ooh.
It was brilliant. So I just watched that over the weekend, and it was incredible. It was so well done. So it was very cool to just. Yeah, just I didn't know so many things about his story and his life, so it was an interesting one for sure. What else? I mean, I finished Stranger Things. That's in the show world, but I finished Stranger Things. It was great. I love it. There's another season coming. I'm ready. I'm already ready for it. I'm like, can you film a little faster? I'm kidding. Yeah, those are some of the ones. There's a lot of movies I want to see still. There's so many great movies out that I haven't seen that I really want to see. But yeah, those are some of the ones that I've seen more recently.
And so what's your all-time favorite TV show?
Friends.
Ooh.
Was one of my favorite TV shows. Maybe not the one ultimate one, but growing up I really loved Friends a lot. Trying to think of other, because again, there's a lot. I thought Breaking Bad was brilliant. I did watch Game of Thrones during quarantine. That was a long commitment, but it was great. Very well done too. I have a lot of shows on my list that I really want to watch as well. That I've been told great things, and it's on like my to-do list of shows I want to watch. I really want to watch Insecure. I never really got into Girls, but I've heard good things too. Yeah. But when I was little, like it's Friends comes to mind first because I remember seeing Friends play, and I was like 7 or 8, and I remember like watching it and seeing it just when I was little, just because it was in the house where my people were watching, and I remember it from such a young age. But yeah, there's many I really want to see for sure.
And when it comes to, so let's talk a little bit about what you're working on right now. So what are you working on now?
So I actually just came back from Florida. I was just filming a movie in Florida. I got back a few days ago, and it was a great experience. It was so fun. I'd never worked in Florida before. It is hot. I mean, like, you leave your place and you are drenched in sweat immediately. It was so hot there, but it was beautiful. It was really fun to work there. I've never worked there before. And I was working alongside some really wonderful people. Travis Caldwell was really lovely. I worked with Haley Duff, who was just incredible and so brilliant and sweet. And this was her directorial debut, so it was really, really an honor to be a part of that experience for her. And she was just so quick to be so brilliant and helpful and collaborative as a director. So it was really wonderful to work with her. And I can't say too much, but I did just book another feature that is filming out in Nashville. So I'll be in Nashville for about 6 or 7 weeks, and I leave around the end of September.
Ooh.
Yeah, end of September. So I'll be out in Nashville. So I don't know how much I can say. But I found out not too long ago that I booked a movie filming out there, which I'm really excited about, and it's based off a book. I think that's really cool when they're based off something that already exists, when there's already a group of people interested in the story. I just think it's exciting to bring words from the page up into real life. I think is quite a fun experience. I filmed last November another movie based off of a book. It's actually a sequel of the Nicolas Cage movie Left Behind. It's been recast, so it's technically the sequel to the Nicolas Cage movie, but he's not in this movie because they recast since it had been so many years since the first one. But it's called Left Behind, and that's based off of a popular book series. So it's really cool to take a world that already kind of exists in its own way and in a different medium, I guess, and like bring it to film is a really cool experience. So I'm very excited about this new one as well in Nashville. Will be really fun. And I've never been to Nashville, and I've heard phenomenal things, and I'm so excited to go. Gonna buy like 50 pairs of cowgirl boots. Like, I'm ready.
I've never been to Nashville personally, but I've also heard great things. So
yeah, I've heard, my parents went, and they're like, it's amazing. I'm so excited.
So when you're in Florida, was it worse than Toronto summers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because the humidity is so there. Like, if it weren't that humid, it would be hot, and it would be similar to Toronto. And it's funny, I always feel like people don't realize how hot Toronto gets. It's like, oh,
so hot.
No, right? And I'm like, no. I'm like, it is like, we get beyond. Like, I've moved to out to LA, so I'm in LA right now. And I'm like, no, like, we get the same. I think we get the same kind of heat in like the middle of August. Like, it is hot.
It is. It's been, these last few weeks have just been insane. I've just
really.
It's been just so hot. It's so hot, and I'm like, I want the snow back, and then it's like, snow comes, I'm like, no.
What you wish for?
I know.
Snow is beautiful. But yeah, it is. I always tell people, I'm like, I don't think people know like that Toronto is a very hot place in the middle of summer, but it's the humidity that gets you. So. Yeah. I would be like in a scene, and I'd feel like a tickle on my back. I'm like, oh, what's that? It's just like beads of sweat just pouring down my back. So that was a thing. But it was very cool to shoot in Florida because Florida's already it's always been sort of a vacation place I've been to. So it's really fun to actually work there. It's beautiful. And it was, it was just fun to be there in a different way. Yeah, but it was a hot one.
So who are your favorite people that you've worked with and who you still kind of stay in touch with and want to work with again?
Whoa. Okay. Oh my gosh, so many people. Well, one project that is incredibly and will forever be very close to my heart is Kiss and Cry. We were on Netflix for almost 5 years. I associate produced it as well. I pitched the movie, and it's a story about a very close girlfriend of mine named Carly Allison. She was one in 3.5 billion to have a very rare form of cancer. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's just the truth. She's 1 in 3.5 billion for every other reason than cancer. That girl, she was just brightened up every room she walked into. And so we did a movie about her life, and I played her. We're finding a new home for it currently since our contract with Netflix is over, but there's a lot of people on that set I would love to work with again. Honestly, I feel like a lot of us on set just felt like we could just keep doing that over and over and over with that cast and crew, because it was such an incredible group of people who have such big hearts and who cared so much about the story and about sharing Carly's legacy with the world. And so Sean Cisterna was the producer and director of that movie, one of the producers. And I had done Full Out, which was also on Netflix, and Family Channel. I had done that movie with him. And he was like, I'd love to work with you again. I've got some time right now. And I was like, awesome. And that's how this all sort of happened and stemmed from me telling him I was going to give him an elevator pitch of the best story he'd ever hear, the most inspirational, most powerful story he was ever going to hear. And I talked his ear off for like 2.5 hours, giving him every detail that I could. But
long elevator ride.
Right? Like I just clicked, I did one of these, just pressed every button and we just went to every floor. But we're currently in discussion on potentially working on a script I've written. So we're sort of at the beginning stages of seeing what we can do with it. But I'd love to work with him again, Sean Cisterna. He was really just lovely and really heard. Yeah, he was a really great part of the whole process and was just so involved. So would be happy to work with him again. My co-star in the movie, Luke Billick, I adore. He's a really great friend of mine. Our characters dated on Degrassi. And he played the counterpart. He plays Carly's boyfriend, John Cervinas, who's so beyond lovely as well. And so Luke, for a long time, just adore him. He's a really great friend of mine. So would love to work with him again. There's so many people I've loved working with. The whole Degrassi group are just some of the best people you could meet. I always call the creators of the show Mama and Papa Degrassi to this day, and I just adore them. Like, there's just so many beautiful people on that set who I'm still very close with, who I love. So I would work with all of them, always. There's just such a long list of people. It's that thing where I'm like, so many different things come to my brain.
As soon as this is done, you're gonna come up with a list of like 10 more people.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Like, I've been, you know what it is? I've been very fortunate and very lucky to work with so many people who I respect and appreciate and love so much. I have just worked on a movie with Haley Duff. I would love to work with Haley again. I think she's brilliant. She's just got such a wonderful approach to the work as a director, and it being her first movie as a director blows my mind because it just happened. It just came so quick to her. And she was so fun and easy and lovely. And I would love to work with Haley Duff again. She's great. My counterpart as well, Travis Caldwell, is just lovely. He was great to work with. But in all honesty, I've been very lucky that I created really, really beautiful relationships on basically every set I've been on. I've just worked with so many amazing people who I would love to work with again. God, this makes me feel like I'm at the Oscars and I'm doing my list and I'm like, I'm forgetting 50 people.
It's all good. And so if you did, so let's say I told you, I'm going to give you unlimited money to make a movie. You have to direct. You cannot star in it though. What would the genre be and who would you choose to star in this movie that you're making?
Okay, I'm just going to throw out what came in my head first.
Okay.
First thing would be comedy, probably more in the rom-com world, but would be comedy. And who would I get to star in it? Oh boy. Well, I mean, when it comes to rom-com, my brain just went to, I mean, there's so many brilliant. Oh man, that's tough. Oh my God, it's so hard. Oh my gosh.
Who are the first two names that come to your mind?
Well, one of the names was Rachel McAdams, and I think it's just because recently I watched her audition for The Notebook, and I just think she's so brilliant. For men, the first name that popped up in my head. Oh, I'm just trying to think of his last name because. Give me one moment. Let me get his. I've only seen a couple things he's been in, but I think he's brilliant.
What's his first name?
Let me just. Okay, one sec. It's coming up. Oh right. Okay, yeah. It's Ty Diggs or Tay Diggs. I think he's brilliant. He's got the voice of an angel, and he's just so beautiful. So he's the first one that popped into my head for the male counterpart. I think he's wonderful. He was in Rent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I tweeted a long time ago just that I thought he was, I think someone did a question and answer thing and I thought he was beautiful. He had a gorgeous voice. I think he liked it. And I was like, but he's wonderful. I just feel like he's so well spoken, but that would be more of a rom-com where you can have music because he's got the most incredible voice. So he's the first male counterpart that came up in my head. And yeah, I think Rachel came up in my head, Rachel McAdams, because I'd recently watched her audition for The Notebook and it was an incredible audition. So, but again, there are so many actors I would love for both. Those are just some of the few that popped up in my head first.
So last question, and this is something we ask to everybody, which is if you could give advice to someone who wants to become an actor, what would your advice be to them?
Oh, I've got a lot of. How much time do you have?
I have as much time as you have.
Okay, a few things. I think the first simplest piece of advice I have is if you want to be an actor, do it. Do not let any loud voices that can get loud. Don't let any voices around you convince you otherwise, including this voice, because this voice is one of the most powerful ones. And what I mean by that is that the blocks we put up. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I'm not going to book anything, or I'm not sure. That voice is very, very probably the loudest voice. So don't let anyone around you, including yourself, stop you from doing what you love to do, because I think it is one of the most important things, is waking up every day excited for what you get to do. My agents probably don't love that I say this, but on every set, I pretty much tell at least one of the producers, I tell someone, and I mean it, that I would not just do it for free, I would pay to do it. Like, I am so obsessed with acting. I'm so in love with it that I would literally pay to do my job. I love it. That I would rather be overworked, not sleep. Like, I would rather that than the lulls that all actors experience, which is between projects. You never know. It could be 1 month, it could be 6, it could be a year. And that's the hardest part, is I just want to do it, not stop. So to have something like I realize I'm very lucky, and that I've worked hard, but that I'm very lucky to be able to do something that I feel that strongly about. So I think, and for you as well, good on you. You're doing what I'm assuming what you love to do, and you're great at it. And I think that it's so exciting and cool, and you never know what'll come of it, who you're going to meet, what opportunities will come. And so I think that's my biggest advice. And I think the other big piece of advice I would have, once you dive in and you're like, I'm in it, I'm here and I'm doing it. I think one of the hard things, which a lot of people hear about it, of course, is the rejection. There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of no's, but I think it's about trying to change the way you see it, which is see it less as rejection and more as it wasn't my part. It just wasn't my part to get. It wasn't meant for me. It wasn't made for me, and that's okay. Because as long as you're working hard, and I will say that again, as long as you're doing the work, you don't have to worry about it feeling like it's your fault. And I think that's what's hard, is it's like, what did I not do? Was that not a good audition? Did I not? As long as you're doing the work and basically essentially doing everything you have control over, which is training and, making sure you're doing the work on your end when you receive an audition, you don't have to ever worry or feel that emotional weight of it being on you. It could be, I have heard a story where someone didn't book something because their teeth were too white. So there's so many reasons why you may not be right for something that you just don't have control over. So I just go, as long as you are hustling in the one thing you have control over, which is the work of an actor, you don't have to ever worry about feeling down in that way. You just go, great, it wasn't meant for me. Cool, on to the next. In fact, I don't even really sit and wait and think if it's right for me. I assume it's not. I just go, great, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next at all times, because I think it's really hard when you sit on something. I think that's just makes it harder. So I feel like my advice would be, as long as you're doing the work, don't feel down like you did something not right or not good enough or not great enough. It just maybe wasn't meant for you, and that's okay.
And on that great note, I know you have to go. We're gonna definitely have you back. Every time you want to promote a movie, I could literally talk to you for hours. I'm not even kidding. This was so much fun.
I actually could too. You're really lovely. You're so great. Please reach out whenever. I am happy.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this again. And look, if you feel like, there's nothing to do, just let me know and we'll have you back on.
I'll just call you anyway.
Yeah, just call me anyways.
There's no interview today, and I'm like, it's cool. Roll.
Cool. Perfect.
Roll the cameras.
And yes, thank you so much. I know you have to go. For everyone watching, thank you for watching. You can Sarah's social media stuff is underneath her picture on the screen that they can see. You can't see it obviously, but
what? Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Thank you.
I know. And so they can follow you, and then they can subscribe, because Sarah wants you to subscribe to the channel and like and all that stuff, right?
Well, of course. Do it twice if you can.
Exactly. Thank you. And thank you so much again for taking the time. I know you're so busy right now.
No, I always have the time. Always have the time. Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. This was great.
And I'm going to let you go now because I know you've got to go. But we would definitely have to keep in touch. We've got to do this again because this was so much fun.
I would honestly love to. You're so lovely, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Phenomenal. It's great. It's really
great. Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching.